Welcome to the Executive Lounge with me, Inshira Addo. This is your business thought leadership program that brings you nuggets of insights from the lives and experiences of men and women who have scaled the daunting heights of starting, managing, or growing businesses and institutions right here at home and around the world. Our guest today fits the bill perfectly. He's an economist, he's a statistician, he's a tax expert, you name it, he's done it. He has well over 30 years of experience in his field of expertise, and he currently serves the nation of Ghana as the Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority. Mr. Emmanuel Kofi Nti, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for making time for us. Taxation is something that's not as fun to talk about, but essential to any nation's development. Why do we have what others would refer to as tax apathy in predominantly the developing world?
It's in the nature of the history of taxation in Ghana. Actually, unfortunately for it, we started off being a colonized state. And being a colonized state, the citizens were having an apathy or a negative perception of the colonialists. And so they were not interested in facilitating the processes that they developed for us. And it's like they and us. And so if we are contributing to them, we are seen as anti-people. And so in the resistance of the people, they were not ready to cooperate. So once they were not ready to cooperate, it's fettered on through their generations. And so that's been our attitude. That, I mean, tax has not been a part of us for a start. But when you go into the real integrity of issues, you realize that it has been a part of us. Because once we have this, our kinship systems, and then our people on a yearly basis have to go and account to the ownership, the landlord's ownership of the properties. It's a way of going to account, and it involved paying something and accepting the leadership over them. So in one way, the anti-colonial perspective was against issues of taxation. But when it came to our own ownership thing, then we were ready to play ball. So it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag experience that we had. Being against the colonialists and the thing they want to do, and accepting our role to enhance our nation state at the family, ethnic levels. So at the ethnic levels, they were ready for tax. But at the colonial level, they were not.
Right. So that's where the tax apathy comes from. But lately, there's also talk of the governance systems that we've adopted not living up to the social contract. So quite often people also have this perception that it's still a them and us situation. How can we change that?
The way to change it is to have accountability and responsibility. And one of the ways to inure the people to tax is for them to see results. If they see the rules being bettered, having better access to hospitals, the educational system improving, then there are the evidences for them to see, and then they can play ball. And in our current situation, at least when it comes to the free SHS, if there was never a time that the pressure to pay tax was not there, now there is. Because there's evidence for why the tax is being called out for. At least there's the evidence that the money that has been collected will ensure the schooling of some. And so if there are evidences that the people can see to why they are being taxed, they will be able to do it. And so it involves voluntary compliance. Voluntary compliance, a hallmark of voluntary compliance is to see the effects of the tax, that they pay. And that's it.
Interesting. You know, you raise very interesting points about voluntary compliance and then the fact that people want to see results. If you look historically at Ghana, specifically in the Fourth Republic, we have increasingly seen deficit in infrastructure, the maintenance of existing infrastructure. And so how then do people feel confident, or how will they feel confident enough to say the tax contribution of today may not better everything, but will do something and eventually can fix some of these challenges?
It's in the psyche of the people, and in the fact that the government's activities, which are funded from the tax area, have not been voiced out enough. I mean, the link between the tax and education, the link between tax and health, the link between tax and security, they've not been well pronounced. So it's like things have been done in silos. There has not been an integrative perception of the tax element. And the fact that at the end of the day, if we are all paying taxes, the government doesn't need to go out and borrow. Because if we pay our taxes and then the government is able to meet the needs of the state, it doesn't need to go and borrow. And at the last count, the money that we use to pay interest on the loans is more, I mean, it's quite a sizable chunk of our resources. And it's because we are failing to pay the tax. And so it resorts to these things. And one of the painful things about life is that when you live your life on loans, your sweat, you don't own your sweat. Others own your sweat. And that's where we are. And so if you want to own our sweat, then our contribution in the tax must go up. And once it goes up, then we are able to do things on our own. And we didn't need to resort to other people filling the gap for us and for which we work for them. And so those are the areas we have to look at. How well are we getting our people to know the consequences of not paying tax?
As we look at the economic demographics, indicate that we have a lot more people who are in what we call informal, but they're unorganized, hard to trace trade, but they're conducting economic activity. The class of Ghanaians or grouping of Ghanaians who have earnings that can be traced and therefore can be taxed tend to complain that they're carrying the burden of everyone else. Are there creative ways in which we can bring the rest in and widen the tax net, which incidentally is a term that's been used very, very, very often, that we need to broaden that tax net? But I haven't seen that happen.
We are going to see it happening soon and very soon. And it's going to be an everyday part of us. The key issues is the tax education of our people. It's a matter that has to be looked at seriously. Because tax is about equity. If you earn 1,000 and Sarah earns 1,000, what you should be paying in tax should be the same in a way. And so if I'm a teacher and I'm being paid like 600 cedis a month, and so I'm paying a tax of maybe about the 37 cedis a month, and somebody owns a taxi, and the taxi overall in a month gets about 600 cedis. I know they will get more than 600 cedis. If we are to be fair, then the person owning the taxi should also be contributing 37 cedis a month. But we have a situation where the teacher taking 600 cedis is paying about 37 cedis a month. The one with the taxi pays only about 4 cedis a month. You see, if we are doing our tax education and doing it very well, and we dwell on one of the core tenets of taxation, the issue of equity. And I mean, you realize that the people would be up to it. Because when people feel that they are being cheated, their tendency to want to play up and then be responsible goes down. And so those areas, we have to be able to look at them, where we allow equity to handle those things. And the informal sector, I mean, as a tax person, I believe that the taxpayer must be treated as a customer. you must be treated with decency. The way we interact with them. They must have a joy relating to us. And that didn't used to be a part of us. And that is the way to have it done. Once we relate to them, and once we show interest in what they do, and we want them to progress and prosper, it will allow them to want to pay tax, because they will see that, look, the tax people are interested in their prosperity. And so once we are able to shift that kind of mental perspective to issues, things will change. Because, I mean, it's good for me to continuously have 3 cedis every year from you ad infinitum than to pick 20 cedis from you this year, and next year you are not there. So it serves as right by making sure the taxpayer prospers. And when you look at the free SHS that the president talks about, as a tax person, I should be happy with it, because it is going to lift the people. And so 15 years down the line, you have a better equipped people, and because they are better equipped, their level of income will go up. And so the kind of tax that can be picking at the end of the day.
So you're looking at your pipeline 15 years from now.
Yes. So we have to go into the deep. I mean, I had classmates. I was fortunate to have enjoyed the CMB scholarship. And now in a month, I pay tax at least about 8,000 a month going. Those who didn't have the CMB scholarship, I don't think they pay even 200 cedis. So if the system so develops so that the children can have opportunity later in life, later in years, we have a better system. The tax that we'll be collecting at the end of the day will be good. So it's something I've always argued, I've always been in favor of. That expand the opportunities of the youth as far as possible, because it's investment you are making today. It's like how our mothers treat us. They see us as investments. And so they go all out to make sure we develop to our best. And in their old age, we build houses for them and the rest. And those mothers who did that ended up better. And the mothers who chose to put on the cloth and look good and the rest, I mean, their old age looked horrible. You see, so when we are putting the tax there and it is having a penetration, at the end of the day, in my old age, and the kids are doing well, I could have good opportunities. Like the old citizens in the Europe and in the Americas, the rest. Because their taxes were used to develop their youth, the children and the rest. They could be allowed to sit in a bus and go free. They can go to the hospital and have good attention. Because the children will be paying high tax. Because they are having high incomes. And these are the ways I believe we should be looking at things. So that if we look at things that way, then the issue of getting the tax and relating it, and our people understand it, it wouldn't be a very difficult thing.
We've learned some very interesting stuff. Why people don't like paying tax. Now we're about to learn how we can make you and I appreciate the concept of taxation, and more importantly, go out there and make sure we're paying. Now, Mr. Nti, recently, the Ghana Revenue Authority has put out this very catchy song, encouraging us all to pay our taxes. It's nice, well and good. Is that the maximum or most efficient way to conscientize and socialize Ghanaians to appreciate taxation?
Tax is an everyday affair. So that was the first phase that we needed to do. And so in doing the conscientization, we want to go beyond just the immediate, bazaar aspect of it. We want to get to the homes and relate to people at that level. And so as we enter the new year, we'll be having consultations. We'll be visiting the churches. Actually, we programmed to visit the Christian Council of Ghana, the Muslim Council and the rest, and start going to the churches and start to speak about it. Whilst doing that thing, we want to also make it easier for people to pay the tax. And so, whilst for a lot of the time, the tax walks to us, but the majority of the tax that we collect, it walks to us. We want to move into a new terrain where we walk to the taxpayer. and then relate to the taxpayer, and then so that we are able to raise the tax that we get. And so we will be having a way that people will interact with tax on a day-by-day basis, so that we will be communicating with the telecom sector, say that whenever you recharge your card on your phone, a text message will come out. Taxes build nations. Have you paid your tax? With tax, everybody gets better. Because with tax, we get better education, we get better healthcare, we get better security and the rest. So we will be expanding beyond that. We would want to start participating in the school affairs at the school level.
Okay.
And I mean, where maybe they have inter-schools, and we have a presence, the GRA has a presence. When they go to the tax-paying age, nobody needs to talk to them about the GRA. Because the GRA would have been imbibed in their subconscious, that before they are aware, they are relating to. So we would be going there, and we want to interact with the Ministry of Education and get tax as a part of the curricula that the people can relate to. And so, I mean, get them to understand the real issues when it has to deal with tax. And this thing is very, very important. More so when on a day-by-day basis we are moving from a lower middle income country to middle income country. And the more we move closer to the middle income country, the more it becomes onus on us to depend on ourselves. And so we have to be crafty about it. We may want to support the associations and get associations, the membership and the rest. And we want to also be able to identify every potential taxpayer. In the past, that has not been done that very well. We want to intensify it and get our people to pay their role when it comes to tax. I mean, it's like the US. It's not that people just love to go and pay the tax. But if you do not go, the tax authorities know your activities, they can come after you. We want to be able to generate a system where every potential taxpayer knows that if he doesn't go, the tax authority can come after him, because the tax authority understands the activities that go on. We want the society to know that as a revenue authority, we know the activities that goes on. We know how people make their wealth. Let people not deceive themselves, that they can be outside the radar. Anybody who gets a payment above a certain level, we have the ability to know. And we will begin to use those mechanisms to get to the people. Fortunately, the government is a major, payer to a lot of these people. And so we can use the government mechanisms to know whoever received anything from government, so that through those mechanisms we can reach out to them, so that they can also play that part. So we'll be more innovative going forward.
In line with innovation, there's a very important area of our society, the arts. I think that in time past we all would remember Obra or Sofo Dazi, adult education in Ghana, I think, showcasing Ghana, I think. And these were all vehicles that oriented us, socialized us. Are these areas that you think will help get the message home?
Yes. Actually, when you are a tax person and you want to get your message home, make sure any group that has audience is important to you. Any group that has audience is important to you. The Shatawale, Samini, they have audience. We want to link up with them and get their participation in the things that we do. Like the brother you were talking of, the Osofo that we were talking of. In the 70s, they were the core group with the audience. Now we have to reorientate ourselves to those who are holding the audience now and relate to them and get them to be advocates for us, our ambassadors. So that, I mean, when you get Shatawale making some jiggle about tax, I bet you the young people can also jiggle about tax. Once Amini does that, and I hear of one Ebony, and he is the craze stuff now. If anybody raises something about tax, the audience will be there. So we are interested in the people with the audience, like you said, going forward, and then relate to them and get them to be advocates for us.
Okay. You talked about technology, and I like the idea that you are considering liaising with the telcos so that you're constantly in the minds of users. Per the statistic, there are more telephones than there are human beings in Ghana, so you definitely can reach pretty much everyone. That said, there's the issue of trading across borders. There's cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and these are set to change the dynamics of how business and economic activity is conducted. How is the Ghana Revenue Authority, your office, positioning itself to ensure that we are still able to be relevant in this technological era we find ourselves in?
The area of tax is complex. And when you are in that area, you have to be proactively complex, so that you do not have portions of your potential revenue being siphoned off and shifting base. And so we are interested in that. We are interested in the dynamics that goes on. I mean, now the Uber, is there. And people may be more making money in Ghana, but they may be away. But they're making money in Ghana. As a tax authority, we have to be interested in all that. And so going forward, we want to strengthen our intelligence area, and then our research area, and then the IT area, so that they can be able to live to it. Because these days, wealth is not an issue of having buildings and cars, but wealth is more into software. Bill Gates is worth about 89 billion. Okay, more than twice in Ghana. Apple is worth about 460 billion, more than 10 times Ghana. But it's all in the software and those areas. So as the tax authority, we have to be able to match up to the new evolving wealth situation. And so we have to key ourselves for it and be proactive to it. So intelligence, quality in research are the areas to look at. And fortunately, we have the development partners, to the extent that we have become middle income, are ready to support it. And they are supporting us in that area. I want to tap into that, because hidden wealth becomes more pronounced when we deal in the software and then the hedges and all the derivative instruments and those things. And so as a tax authority, we also want to build experience and capacity in those areas so that we are able to not be shortchanged. Because the areas of making the revenue shifts over time. And we have to be able also to shift. When you take the Ghanaian economy, at a point in time, it was basically agricultural. And so the cocoa farmers were the major financiers for the country. Now, the agric has moved from 40% to 32%, now it's around even below 20%. Services, which was around 80%, is now moved to even over 40%. And so that the dynamics of the economy has changed. And as tax authorities, we have to also be able to change our dynamics of collection. And that's one is in the service sector, and the issues in the service sector are paramount. And they change by the hour, not by the day. We have to have instruments within our system that can be also proactive. Otherwise, before we can say, Jack, a major chunk of our tax base is already gone. So we want to be able to catch up. Not only catch up, leapfrog, and be upfront so that we can raise our revenues. So that's the way we want to look at it.
Being proactive is important to achieving the goal you set yourself. But there's an intrinsic part, which is the human capital, that's going to make this happen. How is the culture evolving within the GRA? How do you intend to have the culture evolve to meet the changing face of the environment you operate?
Thank you for that. For us at the GRA level, like I had said before, we have to be proactive. And when you look at the present dynamics, the makeup of the staff, demography, you go into it, and take a place like the customs, and it's like those over 51 years, it's like about 43%. We want to, and we'll be doing some recruitment. We want to target the youth so that they come in. We want to have a business succession plan run through the whole system. And we want to develop the mechanisms to be able to spot out the future leaders within the system and build their capacities so that they can match up to the challenges that come in the course of time. And issues of performance measurement. The Ghanaians have a mindset like it's employment for life. And when it's employment for life, it creates a lot of complacency. We want to be able to move towards a situation where from the Assistant Commissioner level, at least going, there will be on contracts so that you are measured and your performance is monitored. So that basically there will be key performance indicators, what we call the KPIs, that match up on the workflow. So that it's not like I took my bath today and I walked to the office, I just sat there, and the 5 o'clock I just walked back. And when we ask for your input for the day, it becomes difficult. We are developing a reporting mechanism that on a monthly basis, at least at a minimum, people will be made to demonstrate the work and their contribution to the system. Because the key for every organization is the human that is there. And when the human are performing, the authority will perform. So we want to be interested in that. And we want to give more training that focuses our people. And so with the support of the development partners for one, we are looking at some key areas where these issues of, instant changes happening. The financial sector is evolving, and it's evolving very, very quick. The telecom sector is also in the same kind of thing. The oil and gas area too is quite fast. So, and then I've talked about the telecom and the mining sector too. So all these areas are very important. And so as an authority, we want to refocus and give direction so that people can be up there and meet the evolving change so that they be, at least if they will not be above it, they'll be with it going forward. And so our revenues then are short. So we need a risk management tool that looks at the risk to our revenue because of the changing dynamics. And reprofile say that we can always be on spot and not lose out.
You talked earlier about the fact that the people are critical in the success of the authority. You've had experiences, across several different organizations, institutions, and around the world. You spent time at the central bank, for example. If you look back at the various places you've been, what would you say has been one key or two key value systems that ensure success?
Leadership has been very key. Leadership that mentors. I've been privileged to have been mentored by a mentee. If there are people who gave me confidence in the things that I do, he's one of them. He spotted me earlier and was always like a father giving guidance in some of the ways. And then the former governor and finance minister, Dufo, they give you directions in some things. Like I tell my children that, look, life is hard. When you take that concept that life is hard and involve challenges, so I have to work to meet the challenges. at the end of the day, you'll be able to make it. Than having the soft approach to life. And those ideas are picked from them. And then making the children know that look, opportunities are there for those who want to take them. If you want to exploit opportunities, and you're out there to scream to have it, you will be able to lift yourself up. So that in going into life, look out for opportunities, exploit them. And whilst exploiting them, look out to have premium value. If you want to have premium value, the premium value comes at the early, risers and the early takers. You know, when a new thing develops, the very first group to access get the best prices.
First mover advantage.
Yes, they take the best advantage in those things. So they are important for, the youth to understand. Look out for the opportunities. Those which are more challenging, rise up to them. And I will tell a funny story. I got into accountancy and the rest just because of my mom. My mom passed some funny comment that, look, we need now my baby a chess can I want to call because a chess can cry now and just with the system. Those who share the money, or develop mechanisms to share the money, be near them because when you are with them and they choose to cheat those outside, those within who do the sharing, at least you are secured. Your portion will be secured. And so I've got into accountancy because my mother gave that direction. And that is the way to go. Let us give direction to the youth in the key areas that when they choose, they'll be happy with.
What was it like growing up?
Growing up was exciting. We had a wonderful childhood. And we were not used to so many goods like the kids of today have. But we had our own way of creating our own games and our own fun and those things. And that caused us to survive it. I remember one of my childhood friends, the mother was running a kindergarten, and I taking my first child to that school every day. And one of the days he started running. I would say, Kofi, wait for me. And he started running down. And when he got to me, do you know what he said? He said, oh, so when we were having those cassava sticks in between our legs and we're doing the horse race, descending the stairs, and one would say, I'm Bamako, and that, we were going to end up marrying Daddy Mess. And that was the stuff because we used to.
So you created your own horse races.
We created our own horse race, and we have the cassava sticks, and we have a tray on it, and we be galloping from the hill on the downstairs, and we call your horse Bamakud, and then somebody will call it white horse, somebody will call his Kaduna Special. Then somebody will be standing at the valley end there, and then you say
who crosses the line.
He will give the marks. And then before you are released to come and chase down. And so,
you did create your own fun. We
had our own fun. And we used these milk things and then make it into a speaker. And then we have our own bands and we have our own competition. And then there was one guy called PP Dynamite. Those were the PP Dynamite days. So that guy would be holding the engineer, would be singing, and then we all be galloping. Those were the days. We created our own innovation. And surprisingly, my group, when I look at the outcomes now, one Professor Buadu, the head of engineering at Duke University, a lot. There are seniors, the core group, one Chumasi, project manager at Goyle and the rest, we're all in that group. And when you look at the outcomes from my group, it's quality.
What do you think accounted for that, coming from very humble beginnings and working?
The one key that caused us to achieve so much is the competition that was imbibed in us at the time. So that when we were going to school, everybody wanted to be first or second or third. And so we were competing for space. But In my case, I was more or less a vagabond.
Why do you say so?
I mean, you know, when I look back at those days, I say God had been good to me, because I will go to the school and I'll be buying this go ahead and casket. I'll be buying them on credit, and I end up owing so much, and because I am owing so much, I cannot go to school, and so I will not go to school, and I'll be hanging around the horse race. And surprisingly, there was this library, Ashanti library. I would play truant, not go to school, but I'll end up at the Ashanti library and be self-educating myself. I'll be reading the book and do the algebra, and be reading Shakespeare and the rest, and P5, P6. And so I would go to school like 3 weeks and give myself a holiday. 2 weeks, I'll be at the library and the rest. And then when the exam comes and I go and see the exams, I'll be in the first 4, first 5. And so one of the things I can pick from it is that children must be made to sit down and learn on their own. Have a spirit of their own independence and learning. I was playing truant, fine. But the lesson I picked from it, that despite my truancy, God directed me to self-educate, spend time to use for the algebra and then the literature books in the library and those things. And I know I owe that library a lot. So some of the things that we need to do is to try and get our children to sit down and spend time on their books to develop their own perceptions of issues. So it's one of the things, if I ask me, I would want to tell the children. Okay. Let us not be spoon-feeding kids all the time. Those who do it are those who on their own try to expand their terrain. And that my group, I mean, they expanded their terrain, and so they did very well. So as part of the things that if I have to tell any kid, have the discipline of learning on your own.
On your own. Fantastic.
Than always being directed.
Okay. Now, you work with people from diverse backgrounds. You've got the VAT service under your wing. You've got the customs under your wing, and all of these people. I mean, how do you ensure that they buy into the vision that you have for the Revenue Authority? How do you sell the vision to them?
Yeah. One, let the people know that they are accepted. One of the things, we want people to play with you, go along with you. First, let them feel the acceptance that you have. To the urgency of the need to move forward on the new things. The agency with which they will be attracted. And so bring them in, let them accept the vision, let them know it is urgent, and then have a passion for it. And then let them know that at the end of the day, there's something in for them.
And those who don't play ball with you?
Those who do not play ball, it means that the benefits, they're not going to be sharers in the benefits. And so, while there can be advancement and the rest, their own deeds will let them falter. And so, the issue of performance measurements, we are hitting home on those things. That performance measurement is going to be key in the things that we do. Okay. And performance measurements, and then having good job description against which the performance measurement can be done. And those are some of the things that we are doing. And we are inculcating the fact of the need for a change. In the business as usual cannot continue. It's not business as usual. Like our performance this year appears to be the best for the last 5 years. That notwithstanding, we were not able to be spot on the target. And we need a visionary leader to tell you that, look, you can do better. And in my first interaction with them, I said, GRA, we are good, but we can be better while aiming at being the best. And I still believe that, expression can move us. And one of the things I've had to share with the GRA people is to tell them that, look, we are the royals of Ghana. And without us, the country can move at the pace that it needs to. And if you are royal, the way people look at you is important. The decency with which you interact with people, the way we speak, the interaction, the day-by-day mannerism that you display is important. So that if you are royal, you do not get mud thrown at you, but that you are able to ward off mud being thrown at you because you are behaving right. And those are the things I want to tell them, that they are the center of the nation. They are the real royals of the country, without which the country can move. So those things are important. And so when we are bringing up kids and we want them to perform their best, let them know that they are of a dignified group. They are special. They are their own uniqueness. When you take our fingers, there's strips in there. Ours, everyone's own is different.
That's true.
And so when we are able to tell the potential people that they are unique and drive in on that, they will work to it. And there has to be this characteristic thing. When they are doing things right, you continue to pamper them, continue to raise the issues with them. And people are people. We all want to feel loved and wanted and desired. And so when this same mother of mine, when the day he wants me to work myself out, saying, you say, Ohineba, fawe mami, Ohineba kweye we mami, that day I'll work like a bull. So, when you want people to work, hallow them, make them feel treasured. Once you have those perceptions, for most people it should work. But I use the word for most people because not all people would love that kind of area of work. There are some which you still have to be regimental and be taking a kid whip and get into line. But for most people, when you have a cozy relationship with them and make them feel special and that they can still be better, you can get better results.
Wonderful. What do you do to relax?
Relax. It's a tough call. I do a lot of reading. And it's like my mind can't rest. And that's the most painful aspect of my life. I look back at it and I think it's one of the best. And I'm gradually working at it. And I try to, listen to some gospel. I used to be listening to CNN a lot, and it's still the old story. Either you are reading or listening to CNN, it's still the same area. But we have shifted. And then with some morning meditations, start the day. The best work I do is done at dawn. That's when I am able to do
the best
work. Like between the 4 and 6 a.m. That's when I do my best work.
Wonderful.
And so I believe maybe it's because after I've had a good sleep, then you're able to do some work.
Fantastic. Well, let me share 5 takeouts from this conversation with Mr. Emmanuel Kofi Nti, the Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority. Number 1, and I'm going to start with the last ones first, is that we're all very different, and you must learn to deploy people in their strength, respect their strengths, let them know those strengths, celebrate those strengths, and that can become the biggest motivational tool you can use to get the best out of people. Number 2, go after the difficult tasks first, because when you're done with those, the easy ones take care of themselves. If you really want to go somewhere, go the harder route, because in there, you will be able to build yourself and add value to yourself and excel. The third thing is, don't let anyone live your life for you. It's your life. There's always a silver lining behind every dark cloud. Be it that you find yourself in an environment where there are challenges, look for the silver lining. Even though he played truant, he ended up in a library, educated himself on a lot of things. Look where he is today. So whatever situation you're in, always look for that silver lining. Number 4 is that encourage healthy competition. Surround yourself with people who will push you to become the best. His childhood friends always were competing for space, and they always wanted to be in the top 5 of their class. Well, he's now the top man at GRA. That says a lot. So challenge yourself, challenge the people around you, and who knows what you might turn out to be tomorrow. The final thing that I have learned from my interaction today is that you must have conviction for what you do. It is very evident in his life, in his work, that he is convicted and deep inside him believes that taxes can change our fortunes, believes that if we can educate more people about taxes today, as our nation grows, so will taxation increase. And when that increases, we'll have a lot more amenities and we can look after ourselves. So wherever you go, whatever you do, wherever you find yourself, ensure that the things you do are founded on strong convictions. Thank you so much for the lessons.
Thank you very, very much.
God bless you. God bless you.
Grateful.
Yes.
Thank
God bless you.
Thank you.